right now there's news breaking out of the White House. President Trump, we believe right now, is in the Situation Room dealing with what looks like Iranian retaliation against not one, but so far two. This is 1:03 p.m. in the afternoon. We are recording this. It's live on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111. Attacks on our bases. Iran has launched 6 ballistic missiles at U.S. bases in Qatar, according to open source intel. The New York Times saying, per Jonathan Swan, a senior White House official confirms they're aware of a potential attack by Iran against the American base in Qatar. Quote, the White House and the Department of Defense are aware of and closely monitoring potential threats to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. In addition, open source intel reporting explosions reported at U.S. Al Assad Air Base in western Iraq, and also quoting the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, Operation Fatah's Blessing against the American Al Udeid base in Qatar has begun. The New York Times' Eric Schmidt goes on, the main base in Qatar, Al Udeid Air Base, the forward headquarters of U.S. CENTCOM, has 10,000 military and civilian personnel. It's heavily fortified by an array of air defenses that have been on high alert in recent days, anticipating an Iranian retaliatory attack. This is posted by Breaking 911, an online news source, purporting to be air defenses seen activated over Doha, Qatar, after Iran fired a barrage of missiles at it, likely targeting, again, the Al Udeid Air Base where U.S. forces are stationed. Let's watch. For the listening audience, it looks exactly like what we've seen over Israel in recent days, where you can see the missiles getting fired, and then in that case, Israel's Iron Dome thwarting many of the missiles, not all. And I don't know what the protections are over our air bases in these areas. You've got to think that the United States, which is largely responsible for Iron Dome over Israel to begin with, has done as much to protect American troops at these outposts, these air bases in Qatar and Iraq. But we will see. Now, this is also just coming through. Hold on. Alarms have been reported at Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait. So one in Bahrain, one in Kuwait. Reports of 3 direct hits on the U.S. base in Qatar, reports Charlie Kirk. No initial reports of U.S. casualties. Let's pray that's true. So we're seeing the Iranian response right now, or at least the beginning of it. Emily, what do you make of it?
Well, yeah, that last question is really critical. No casualties so far. So right now, the question is whether this is a kind of carefully choreographed back and forth between the United States and Iran. If Iran responds in a way that does not, for example, kill American troops, then perhaps a larger conflagration can still be avoided. I tend to think the possibility of that is tragically very low, and I'm still incredibly deeply concerned about the risks to the lives of Americans. There are 40,000 American troops in the region. So if Iran has its nuclear program almost totally destroyed, that's also a critical question. I know you talked about that earlier in the show, but if that happens, they've spent decades building this up. What do we expect from them retaliation-wise? Do we expect them to actually come to the negotiating table, or do we expect them to escalate with more and more military strikes? And then if Americans die in all of this, you can expect a much more robust response from the American president, from the American military. And that's where this becomes an all-out war. So what's happening right now is, basically we're seeing the future of this conflict in real time, depending on the reports that we're getting in minute by minute right now to determine whether or not this escalates.
Mm-hmm. This is, of course, the concern that J.D. Vance says we're not at war with Iran, we're at war with their nuclear program. The thing is, Iran has a say. They have a say in that. And if they don't just accept that we blew up their nuclear program, or at least most of it, and they fight back by doing things like this, and American blood and treasure is spilled, military or not. Civilian is next level because, of course, it's not that we're okay with our military getting killed, but it's a different matter to kill American civilians, which we did not do in targeting Iran nuclear sites. Then yeah, the president's got to respond. Our president's got to respond, even though we know Trump doesn't want war with Iran. I believe him that he doesn't want war with Iran, but he's not going to sit back and not respond.
Right. And yeah, exactly. That's where if you're the American president, you have to respond. Even if, you have dubs in your ears saying this is the time to get to the negotiating table and this is the time for peace. Well, if you are somebody who believes in the doctrine of peace through strength, which Donald Trump absolutely does, then you're going to feel as though you have no choice but to retaliate. And especially if the lives of American soldiers or, God forbid, American civilians are lost. And so what we're looking at right now over Qatar and Kuwait is critical. There's also potentially, now that Iran has been damaged very heavily on the military level, the potential for attacks on the homeland domestically. There's a potential for sleeper cells to be activated in the United States, certainly, because Iran now has to rely on asymmetric warfare, given the attacks that they have faced from Israel and the United States in the last couple of weeks. So this is a really, really dangerous time, and not just as we're looking at those images of what's happening over the skies of Kuwait and Qatar. This is a very, very dangerous time throughout the entire world. And we're waiting minute by minute, kind of bracing ourselves to see what comes of this, because we could end up just in the next couple of days into a full-blown sort of post 9/11 war. Obviously, things are different. It's not apples to apples with Iraq or Afghanistan, but this could escalate into something that looks much more familiar to us very soon.
I just don't know how Iran's going to do that. They've just been so hobbled by Israel, and I believe that they will launch things like this against the air bases in the region to try to make a point. But their ability to continue this on and on, highly questionable. I mean, Israel's taken out all of their top commanders of the IRGC, certainly of their nuclear program. They've cut off the head of every single snake growing militarily in Iran. It's going to be a very difficult matter for them to conduct any sort of ongoing warfare against anyone, never mind the United States of America.
I hope so. And I think the best case scenario of all of this, the best case scenario of the strikes, and again, I'm sort of in the position where it was like, I hope that I'm proven wrong when the strikes were launched, because to me, it seemed like it's a smaller percentage possibility that what happens from all of this is we see retaliatory strikes like we see right now. There are no American casualties, no American deaths, and Iran ends up at the negotiating table. I am one of the people that believed that was a smaller possibility. But if that's actually what plays out, then that really is the best case scenario. Then you do end up going to the negotiating table because Iran realizes that, as you said, I mean, the head of Hezbollah, the head of Hamas, Israel has absolutely done significant damage to Iran's operation, its terrorist operation worldwide.
And inside Iran too. Not just the proxies, but inside Iran with respect to the Revolutionary Guard. I mean, they did their homework on who is running Iran's military program, and those people are almost all dead. And, the Ayatollahs in hiding and not communicating with anybody, like they're not in a strong position. This is the one thing they do have. They have ballistic missiles. And you can thank Barack Obama for that, by the way. This is Barack Obama's doing. He's the one with his ridiculous Iran agreement who made sure they would have access to their ballistic missiles, the same agreement that Tommy Vietor and these other Pod Save America guys are out there praising like it was going to set us on the road to peace until the evil Trump blew it up when he became president in term 1. But that's what we're watching rain down on our guys right now. We are days away from what has been dubbed by some the Rio Reset, what some worry could be a threat to the US dollar's global dominance in over 80 years. On July 6th, BRICS nations, that's Russia, China, India, and Iran, and some more, are expected to unveil their plans to circumvent the US dollar, thus cratering, its value. Some report that they've already been laying the groundwork as their central banks have been methodically divesting from the US dollar and US bonds in favor of gold. How can you protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark shift? One option is to diversify with gold from Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which is right now. Get a free info kit on tax-sheltered gold IRAs by texting the word MK letters to 989898. July 6th could mark a monumental shift happening among nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP. Arm yourself with information to diversify your retirement savings. Text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.